President Trump just gave a comment that has certain people concerned. They asked him who he thinks should become Iran's new leader, and he said, "Well, most of the people, yeah, most of the people we had in mind are dead. We had some in mind from that group that is dead. Now we have another group. They may be dead also, based on reports." But then he also mentioned, well, listen to this. Okay, so just in, President Trump is asked if exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi is under consideration to lead the country. So let's see what he says, and then I'll explain this to you.
Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. Is he an option at all in your mind?
I guess he is. Some people like him, and we haven't been thinking about too much about that. It would seem to me that somebody from within maybe would be more appropriate. I've said that. He looks like a very nice person, but it would seem to me that somebody that's there, that's currently popular, if there's such a person. But we have people like that. We have people that were more moderate. You know, these were radical lunatics, and you know what they get? They get nothing. All they do is kill people.
All right, so let me tell you why this is not something that you need to be concerned about at all. First of all, when it comes to choosing the leader of the Iranian people, that's a different conversation than choosing who President Trump is talking to right now. Right? Those are two different conversations, and we're mixing those two up. Right? Someone's mic is open. If you guys could close your microphone when I'm speaking, that would be very helpful. Ezekiel, your mic. Oh, thank you. What was I saying? Um, oh God, now I lost my train of thought. Yeah. Okay. So when the Islamic Republic falls and there is no body, there's no entity shooting into crowds of Iranian people, then obviously the Iranian people will bring Pahlavi back to Iran, and they will make Pahlavi, Princess of Pahlavi, as the leader of the transition period. And after that, we're going to have democracy. I don't understand why people are concerned as if America would be able to pick. Like, how do you guys, the people who are concerned, I want to know, how does that play out in their mind? Like, do you really think that United States is able to, the only way United States is able to pick the leader for Iranians is if they're willing to shoot into millions of Iranians people, shoot into the crowds of millions of Iranian people, if they come out and protest the next leaders that they have been picked for the Iranian people. That's the only thing that, I mean, can you imagine like the Americans supporting any system, or and they themselves coming and suppressing the Iranian people when they want Pahlavi back? Like, enter as a possibility in your mind. And if no, then you have to realize that the only reason Pahlavi is not ruling in Iran right now is because, as we're speaking, there are some people who are willing to shoot into the crowds of Iranian people and kill tens of thousands of them. Once that obstacle is removed, there is nothing else, and the Iranian people will have their say. Well, is President Trump talking to certain people from the regime? Yes, and that's a good thing, right? This is what you have to put this phase separate from the transition phase and the post transition phase. The transition phase, the Iranian people will basically make Princess of Pahlavi the leader of transition period, because nobody else would be even has even a chance to be taken seriously by the Iranian people. The Iranian people gave up their lives to be able to just shout the name Pahlavi in the streets of Iran. They wrote Javid Shah with their own blood on the walls in the streets of Iran. Do you think that they will recognize anyone else's leadership? And not only that, only 40 days after the Islamic Republic did the greatest massacre in our modern history, they came back out and they still chanted for Princess Pahlavi to be their leader, crossing all of Islamic Republic's red lines after witnessing what happens to those who do that. Do you really think that you could pick any other leader for the transition period for these people? after you remove the obstacle of having a few thousand people shooting at tens of thousands of Iran, killing tens of thousands of Iranians, with the transition period and the post transition period. The post transition period was going to be elections. So we don't have to worry about that. The post transition is going to be election. The transition period, the Iranian people are not going to recognize anyone else's leadership other than Prince Reza Pahlavi. For the revolution phase, the, the Americans should be trying right now to talk to other people within the Islamic Republic. And here's why. Because you might be able to get somebody from the Islamic Republic to convince the armed forces, some of the armed forces, to back the fuck off, right? We have three types of armed forces right now within the Islamic Republic, right? The ones who have already given up, right? Or more recently have given up and are like, fuck this shit. I don't want anything to do with this anymore, right? That's category one. Category three, I'll tell you the middle category soon. The category three are the people who are full on durka durka, and they're like, we're gonna do this until we're dead. Either Mahdi is gonna come back, or I'll do it until I die, or I'll see the Mahdi. Right? They're like, they're full on ideological. They don't give a shit if they die, and they're in it until the end. Right? So they're not going to get convinced. They're going to keep shooting at the Iranian people. However, their ability to kill Iranian people is going to be much more limited because of the command structure being destroyed, because of the intelligence operation that organizes all of them being destroyed, because of their bases being destroyed. So, but they will keep fighting until the very end. But there's this middle group in the between, the middle group in between, which they are continuing to fight for the Islamic Republic, but they're also might be convinced that okay, give up, everything is over, it's game over. Those middle group, those middle group people, they are not like, they're not listening to statements from Princess of Pahlavi or other people telling them to give up. Okay, they're still listening. They're more on autopilot. They're like, I listen to the Islamic. My job, my task, my purpose is Islamic Republic says this, I do this. Okay, they're more like they don't really think about what they're doing. They're just like robots. Okay, so these groups in the middle, we need somebody from the Islamic Republic to tell them that it's over, give up. So I don't know what percentage, like how, what percentages of these three category, what percentage belongs to each. But this middle category, if we could get somebody from the Islamic Republic to tell them to give up, that would be nice. Okay, if not, okay, we will blow them up. So the Trump administration went from to a first group of people, tell them like, "Hey, give up, like this is over." So, but by the way, this talking is for the terms of surrender. So they didn't accept. They killed them. They went to a second group of people, and President Trump is mentioning that they might also be dead now, based on reports. So whoever is left, they have to notice that if they don't, because guys, when it comes to negotiation, this is not negotiation for the Islamic Republic to continue, because the Islamic Republic doesn't have much leverage. Like they don't have it in the negotiation, they don't have much leverage anymore. Like what are they going to negotiate? So they're not negotiating over the Islamic Republic continuing, they're negotiating over their lives, right? They're negotiating over if there's an exit strategy for them. So this is good that President Trump is talking like this to give these people some hope that there might be a way out for them, so that maybe you could get some of the remaining officials from the Islamic Republic to tell the armed forces that, yeah, give up your weapons or basically stand down or something like that. So this is helpful, and I wouldn't be worried. Like if you're worried about, oh my God, the Americans are talking to somebody else, so does that mean Princess of Pahlavi doesn't have a shot? Like you have to think about exactly how the process works in your mind. Like how is United, like how do you imagine the United States is even willing to come and enforce, like force the Iranian people to accept anybody other than Pahlavi? Like I can't even imagine the process of that happening. So I don't know why are you guys worried about that. This, especially given that we have been here before. Like since January, we kept on saying like, "Oh no, they're negotiating with the Islamic Republic. What's going to happen?" And we were saying like, "Okay, they're buying time. They're probably going to attack." They're like, "No, but they're negotiating." And then they attacked. They killed them. They killed Khamenei. You know, a lot of people were worried like, "Oh my God, they're talking to the Islamic Republic. Maybe Khamenei will survive this," and he didn't. So this seems like to be a repeat of that. honestly, I feel like anybody who gets chosen by Trump to be the next person to talk to, I would be. You should be. They should be very worried given what happened to the people that came before them, right? So, yeah, all we have to focus on right now is to remove this obstacle from our way, and the Iranian people will do the rest. And right now our obstacle is not alternatives to Prince of Pahlavi. Right now our obstacle in the way is the isolationist in United States attacking President Trump, trying to reduce his political capital for finishing this military operation. So we need to support Trump. We need to increase his political capital by supporting President Trump against the isolationists right now in Washington DC, and just trust that once this operation is over, when we get rid of the Islamic Republic completely, then nobody could stop the Iranian people for making their own decision on who is going to be leading them. No,
So
you could add, yeah.
I think Trump's statement that you showed earlier is actually pretty much an endorsement of Pahlavi. It seems like he is trying to not make it look like Pahlavi is some sort of foreign American insertion. But if you think about it, he didn't say anything bad at all about him. And he said he wants someone from inside Iran who's really popular and is not a terrorist. There are currently zero such people. So when Pahlavi comes back, he will immediately be the only one that fits the picture.
Exactly. That's a good point, actually. That's a very good point. Let me just quickly share a few other things that he said. President Trump said. Hold on, let me play this one. So this is a good message because he talks about the more than 30,000 Iranians who have been killed, the acknowledgement of that, which means that any. By the way, it seems like Trump is very unlike what many people were reporting. He was very moved by this. So anybody else that wants to be even considered, like they cannot continue doing that, which means that the Iranian people, that obstacle is going to be removed from the Iranian people's path, which means Pahlavi will be the leader. So listen
They're
to this.
just evil. It's not the politics, it's their whole philosophy, it's their whole, where they come from. It's terrible. Where they killed 35,000, I thought it was 32, now it turns out it's much more than 35,000 people. And in some cases using machine guns with people that have no weapon. They have no weapon, and they're being machine gunned, they're being sniped from buildings. They're hitting the people with snipers right through the eyes. It's just a very evil ideology. And nobody's really seen anything like it.
And I've heard that it was Prime Minister Netanyahu that showed President Trump the videos of what exactly happened. They had a 3 hour meeting, and 1 hour of that, Netanyahu spent showing the video, the most brutal videos to President Trump. And apparently, the reports say that that really had an effect on President Trump. And just one more short video with regards to on who should become Iran's new leader. So listen to this.
Do you have someone in mind right now? Because you said all the people you did have in mind have been taken out. What do you think?
Well, most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, we had some in mind from that group that is dead. And now we have another group, they may be dead also, based on reports. So I guess you have a third wave coming in. Pretty soon we're not going to know anybody.
Do you have someone in mind?
All right. This is why I think you shouldn't worry. You should be worried for the people he's talking to, because apparently the people he's talking to, if they don't give him full surrender, then they get deleted and then move on to the next people. Right? So don't worry about the people. Don't worry about Princess of Pahlavi. Worry about the people that President Trump is talking to.